everyone, I'm Erica Olson from On Strategy. Welcome to our whiteboard video series on OKRs that work. Today we're going to talk about how to create great OKRs. We have a previous video on the overview of OKRs. Check that out if you haven't. Today we're going to cover the anatomy of how to create a great OKR. In a future video, we'll talk about how to cascade them. So just as a recap, OKRs stand for objectives and key results. And it is a methodology for setting goals and cascading goals through organizations. When we think about OKRs, we're talking about an O and the KRs is a single unit, and we set them at the company-wide, team level, and individual level. The great thing about OKRs is the specificity of them and the components of each of them being really unique and direct. So let's talk about those. The O's, or your objectives, are really about the what. What is the outcome that you are going to deliver to the organization? It needs to be ambitious and a little bit uncomfortable, and really just stick with the idea of outcome. The KRs are the how you'll achieve the outcome. And normally there's a handful of hows that you need to think about in order to deliver the outcome of the O. So thinking about the handful, maybe 2, 3, or 4 key results you must deliver to achieve the outcome of the objective. Oftentimes, they're reset quarterly if you're on a quarterly standard OKR cadence. And what we mean by that is you'll either set a brand new key result or you're setting a new target. So let's talk about that for a minute. So if the outcome is diversifying by expanding into 3 new markets, it's really specific, it's ambitious, it's big, it's a clear outcome to the organization. And there are 3 things that I would need to do in order to deliver that particular outcome. Growing revenue from the new markets is a really specific key result. And I'm certainly not going to go from 0 to 10% in a 90-day period. That's crazy. But maybe I'll set a target here that is specific to the upcoming quarter, maybe 1%. And then when I reset my KRs for the next quarter, I might change the target to 2% or something like that. Differently, you might have something like customize one offering, which is more of a project, and that might be something that you could get done in a quarter, in which case that KR would go away and I would replace it with something else. So again, when we talk about OKRs, we're talking about that this isn't a unit of an O and then a handful of key results I must deliver in order to achieve the outcome. A good guideline is 2 or 3 per person. Sometimes people say 5. We think that's too many. And again, we're saying this is 1. We like to keep it to 2 or 3. It needs to be owned. The whole stack is owned. So this might be owned by the CEO. This might be owned by the VP of marketing, etc. A verb with movement, this is super important. So you can see this is diversify, grow, customize, lower, higher, launch. So really something with concrete action and movement. If you use a verb with action, you'll get there. And then last but certainly not least, the most important thing about OKRs is measurability, either verifiable or quantifiable. So verifiable is our example of customizing one new offering. You can verify that it's done. Quantifiable is a specific numeric outcome, i.e. growing revenue from X to Y, and you can verify that based on the revenue. Oftentimes people say all OKRs need to have numbers in them. We think that can be really hard. Sometimes that's a great thing to shoot for, but sometimes it just needs to be verifiable, and that's okay. Last but certainly not least, we want to talk about the idea that OKRs can be more than just about company value. They can also be about something else, something bigger, a bigger impact, profit plus what? Plus purpose. So think about making sure somewhere in your OKRs, you have an impact measure that is maybe about impacting staff in a positive way. That may be engagement, satisfaction, an innovative project. A customer impact, a really direct customer impact. And I don't mean customer satisfaction, that's great, of course. Here's an example of a customer impact measure. Let's assume that this example is an IT outsourcing organization. And an impact measure for my customers might be lowering their total IT expense. That's a great example of an impact measure that certainly is good for us, but really is good for them. Another example, of course, of impact measures, and we're used to these, would be a community impacting measure, your standard corporate social responsibility. And then, of course, an environmental impact measure, maybe around footprint, energy use, travel, that type of thing. So it's not possible to do this all the time, but think about making sure within somewhere in your key results, you have something that's beyond just company value. It's company value plus. And with that, now you know the anatomy of OKRs. Check out our cascading video to talk about how to cascade them from the company to the individual. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Happy strategizing.